Let's go see the new Ballinger farm.
So the first building I'm going to show you is this cute little barn over here. We're calling it the hay barn. And this is one of the original buildings from the farm. Those barn doors right there, the ones that don't match the rest, we just actually found those and we bought new hardware and hung them yesterday. Well, my husband did. So I'm just going to show you inside here. Right now we're storing it for hay, and that's probably what we're going to continue doing. And my broody Samanis are also in here. So I'll show you those guys real quick. See them back there? They've been such good moms. But yeah, this is a two-story building. I'll take you upstairs in just a second. But right now we're using it for hay. And it's built incredibly well. We estimate that this building is easily 100 years old, just the way it's made. But here's my birdie little Samani hens. This little girl right here, she's chattering at me. Her chicks are due to hatch in about a day or two, so she hasn't gotten off the nest. And then this little girl over here, hers are due next week. They've both been really good moms. So I'll take you upstairs. I actually thought about making this the boys' playhouse up here. It's really cool. Sun's bright. But yeah, it's we think that they stored grain up here back in the day. There is right there. That's a grain chute. It's kind of hard to see. But cool little building. See how there's a little bit of daylight coming through the boards? We're going to go through and put some metal siding. And there's the front of the property. Actually, there's the side of the house. It's a beautiful little house. It's about 2,400 square feet. A bunch of old oak trees. Kind of nicknamed it Strong Oaks. But there's kind of the scenery. We're surrounded on three sides by farm fields, which is nice. And then back here, this is an old concrete pad. There was an old dairy barn here that was falling apart, and they basically took it down. And that's my husband and our friend Jake moving barn beams. I'm just doing a quick little video.
Huh?
I'm just doing a quick little video.
Showing us killing ourselves?
Yep.
Yeah. Honey, there is a lot of freaking massive wood.
Yeah, I see that.
Oh,
So those are all the huge barn beams that were out of that old dairy barn. And probably lots of projects coming for those.
yeah, these are going to be like arbor beams
They're going to be like what? Arbor beams?
or something. The arbor.
But this concrete pad here needs a little bit of repair, but probably going to end up putting a pole barn here over the years, in a couple years I should say. And this right here, we're thinking is an old milk house. It's also a concrete block building with a wooden loft. These buildings are just, I mean, built like a tank. Take you in here real quick. So this is what we're calling the milk house. And I'm not sure honestly what a lot of this stuff is. This is a pit. And there was running water in here at one time, but we're not exactly sure what this was used for. So if anyone knows old buildings and you know what this would be, feel free to message me and let me know. So this is the milk house. Kind of go back over here. And this is the other part of it. See, this really doesn't go anywhere. It goes to the other door. But this is just a neat little building. I'm not sure what we're going to use this for yet. I thought about using this to almost like a bathhouse, so you know, wash animals, dogs, goats, whatever. So now we're at the back of the property. That's the garage we just left. That's an old barn. I'll be walking up there soon. So I wanted to show you what we're going to do with our egg layers. So this is an old loafing shed back here, or at least that's what I'm calling it. On the back side, you can tell where it was attached to a larger barn. And we're just thinking that the other part of the building was not in good condition and they tore it down. But this part here is in excellent condition. And this is our poultry netting. We've got 264-foot strands, and it goes all the way around this building. So we're going to basically, we're bringing the birds over later today, and we're going to put them in this building and lock them up for about 2 days so that they can imprint on it, and then we'll turn them out in this fenced in area for another week or two, and then we'll let them free range. So let me show you the back of this building real quick. So you see how that's just wooden beams. So this was at one time attached to another larger building. Fortunately, this is not the place where the weather typically hits, but we are going to probably put metal siding, or let me back up here a little bit. We were thinking about coming off the top here and putting a lean-to off the back of this building, which wouldn't take a whole lot. Let the goats run back here. It's nice and shady too, so I can see the chickens totally digging this. So this is the chicken house. We estimate this is probably 14 feet wide and probably about 20 some feet long. My husband brought these nice pavers over here today. So this has a concrete floor. You can't tell because we have peat moss in here, but this is a concrete floor, which is nice because it makes it easy to clean. And we found this old workbench in one of the barns. It's not really, it's very heavy and it's very solid, but it's not something that I want to use. So I actually thought this would be perfect to set the laying boxes on. So we have basically 4 dog kennels that we use for laying boxes, because I don't know about you guys, but we have hens that try to fit 2 and 3 at a time in a laying box. So we actually started using dog kennels for laying boxes. So I can fit 4 dog kennels, large dog kennels, across the top here, and then we'll fill them with straw. And then my lovely husband came in here today and he put these roosting bars along the back. So this building is all ready for the chickens. There's sand mixed with peat moss over here. The plan is to mix sand in with this peat moss. But peat moss is, I don't know if you guys have used it before, but peat moss is really, chickens love it. It also helps to keep the poop from sticking on the floor, and then every 3 or 4 months I'll come in here and I'll rake it all out. I'll use the peat moss with the chicken poop on the garden, and then we'll add more peat moss. And then over in this corner, see where these hooks are suspended from the ceiling? That is where I'm going to hang 2 water buckets with the nipple style, and then 2 feeders right there, and those will hang just above the floor, and that's just to help them, to prevent them from scratching the food out. So, and these are windows, obviously. It's hard to tell, but there's actually plexiglass in there, so still lets daylight in, but it doesn't let predators in. These were actually open, and my lovely husband went and got plexiglass. So there's the chicken house. Peat moss bags in the corner. So I'm excited to get the birds over here. It'll be nice to get them out of the house. We've been using 10 by 10 dog kennels, and it's just been the area where they're at the current house. It's a really wet area of the yard, and it's been an ongoing battle to keep the ground dry, or to keep the bedding dry. So The one thing I really, really like about this building is the concrete floor is elevated up above the ground, and so it'll never get wet. And you might not be able to tell from here, but the land falls away from the house, so we should never really have an issue with standing water. It falls down, and then the driveway kind of continues on down there. Son's driving his moped, or his go-kart. And you can kind of see where that farm field is down there. I'm not sure if you can see the cattails, but there's actually a creek that runs all the way, so the water will empty into the creek. So it's really pretty. So we'll walk up here to the barn. I've been all over this property the last few days. Definitely gotten my workout. So this is where, this barn up here is where we're going to put our show birds. And eventually, not right away, but eventually we're going to have our goats here. And all of this back here is going to be fenced in pasture for the goats. So one thing at a time. We think that this, you'll see here in a minute, the ceiling is pretty low in here. We think this was probably used to house sheep. Definitely wasn't cattle or horses. But it'd be perfect for our purposes. Whew. Get my workout today. Okay, it's kind of dark in here, but so this is the other barn, and I've been there was an old shelf over there on that wall that I took down, and this is also a concrete floor. It's actually in really good shape. There's just a lot of dirt. This really just needs swept, and it's ready to go. These ceilings are right at 6 foot high. From this bottom beam here to the ground is 6 foot. So what we're gonna do is the 10 by 10 dog kennels that we're currently using at the old house, we're gonna bring these in here, and those are gonna house our show birds, which currently are IM Samani, English Orpingtons, and Silkies. So right now we have our little Bantam teenagers. Hey guys! We've got 4 Blue Splash Silkies, and then some Golden Sea Brights. There's a couple other ones in there, I'm not sure what they are, but they're just kind of getting used to their surroundings. Stay in there. They went from being in a large tote to this, I'm gonna guess this is probably 7 feet by 7 feet or 8 feet by 8 feet. So they went from that to this big stall. They're pretty happy. Pretty little Silkies. So there's the barn. It was actually kind of perfect because I think they had actually used this as a chicken coop because there was already chicken wire here. We're going to take it down and put up hardware cloth so it's a little more durable, but pretty sure this was already used as a chicken coop. So there's the back door of the barn, and this looks like an old stall. Boards are pretty rickety. I don't think I'm going to take them down right away. We're probably, I'm not sure what we're going to do with that. But there's the barn. And again, this is going to eventually house our show birds. So we still have a lot of cleaning up to do. The gentleman that we purchased the farm from, he did quite a bit. He owned it for 5 years and just gradually cleaned it up. But it's in pretty good shape. It's a pretty populated area, even though we are out in the country. We do have neighbors close by on one side, but the people we've met so far, everyone seems really nice. Several people have goats, several people have chickens, so it's definitely an animal-friendly area, which I'm very thankful for. But we have a billboard in our backyard. There's the view of the backyard. There's Aiden.
Hey.